Yo!
Yes, sir.
What's up? My name is Osagi.
And my name is Chris.
And this is Prophetic Foolishness. What's up, fam?
What's up, y'all?
Man, welcome back to another episode of Prophetic Foolishness. If this is your first time, we say welcome to the family.
Welcome.
And if you're a returning listener, welcome back to the family.
Welcome back.
We hear, another family discussion, another round table talk, another delicious dish of discussion.
Another delicious dish of discussion.
Come on, say that fast. But,
yeah.
Man, we back, man. We rocking, man. We got another great episode for you guys. I'm rocking with this thing still, man. Season 2 is off to
a good start, man. And then for those of you who are new, just so you have some context for what this podcast is and will be in the future, like Osagi said, we are Prophetic Foolishness, and here we talk about uncommon topics that might engage with the common person and give them a space to challenge societal norms.
Yep, that's what we're here for, man. So if we say something that either strikes a chord with you, that makes you think, that makes you maybe a little upset, that makes you go like, yes, that's what we're here for,
yes,
man.
Queen.
And hopefully throughout the life of this podcast and as you listen, we'll make you do all three. We don't want to just be people that are making you say yes, or people that are just making you upset or making you that think. We want you to do all three at hopefully some point, and maybe your perspective or your perspective is being challenged, or your perspective is being voiced, or maybe you're just having to think or on things you've never thought of before. Yeah. And so that's what we're here for. We really want to create a space for you to challenge your thoughts.
100%.
Sounds good to you?
Sounds good to me.
Man, keep rocking with us, man. We're going to keep doing the same thing with you guys, and, essentially just like challenging the norms, man, and asking questions that you maybe never asked or, want answers to. So.
Yeah. So for today, we have a pretty good topic that I think will strike a resounding chord for the majority of our listeners.
Yep.
Today, we're going to talk about why are adults so lonely?
Huh.
And why it's hard to make friends as an adult.
Huh. Chris.
Yes.
I don't think the people are going to fully understand, so I'm going to need you to elaborate on this topic for our listeners, bro.
Yeah, so let me just set the stage, right?
Okay.
Let's look back. Everyone think back on your life right now. You were born probably into some kind of family. Might have been one parent, could have been two parents, could have been some siblings, could have been no siblings. But you were born immediately into a surrounding of people. Then you go to elementary school where you have a classroom full of people that you're kicking with every day for about 6-7 hours. You might play after school in a local soccer league or slow pitch softball or something.
Yeah.
But you're kicking it with people a lot. And when you're not kicking with the folks at school, you're probably playing outside with some kids in your neighborhood or your siblings. You transition into high school and middle school, same thing, teams, sports, football, basketball, arts, bands, your local punk rock band, whatever. Then you go to college and you're still surrounded by a lot of people. Why? Because you got a lot of time for it. You only have 3 or 4 classes a week that last an hour and a half to 3 hours. The rest of the time you're studying and kicking it with your people.
Sororities,
fraternities, other social groups, whatever it is. You're playing intramural sports.
Yeah.
And then you start adulting. And you start giving all of your time to building a career and earning funds and earning funds and doing other adult things. And so where you used to be surrounded by a lot of people who you would kick it with a lot of time, now you're surrounded by a smaller group of people, mainly your coworkers, who aren't necessarily hanging out all the time after work.
They're not necessarily your friends.
They're not necessarily your friends.
Just your coworkers.
They might have families and other obligations, so that you don't really forge a friendship outside of the 8 to 10 hours that you're at work.
Yeah.
And so that leads us into the current state where adults, even now more so than in the past, are more isolated and have less friends. I'm going to shoot y'all with a stat before we even get into this.
Come on, Chris.
Because there have been some recent studies done on this very topic, and it says that nowadays 25% of adults, and the adult range is right now millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, I'll speak to millennials for a second, but 25%.
We out here, millennials. What's up? Shout out. We out here, the wave.
Yeah, because these numbers are more drastic for millennials than it is for baby boomers.
Yeah.
But they say that they have no acquaintances. 22% say they have no friends, and 27% say they have no close friends.
Wow.
Even more drastic, 30% of millennials, that's a hard word to say, say they have no best friends.
Wow.
And so, and then almost half of them say they have only between 1 and 4 close friends. Wow. And so what we've seen versus like the baby boomer generations that was a little bit more connected is that nowadays it's harder for people to be more connected. So that sets the stage for this discussion on why it's hard for adults to be friends or to make friends.
Man, I have a couple thoughts with you saying that. One, those numbers are super alarming. And I know some people, your original thought might be, well, this isn't me, which is great and good. But I still think those numbers are what they are because there is a large group of people that this might be the reality for.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that kind of comes to mind is we live in a day and age where you can be someone's cyber friend like through online. And that be like the essence of your friendship, if that makes sense. So like, because I'm following you on Instagram or Facebook, I'm up to date on everything that you present, quote unquote, that's going on in your life.
Sure.
And that to me might feel like, to certain people, it might feel like that's enough. Like that is forged a friendship because I know about your life.
Yeah.
Or I know about you from what you present to me.
Yeah.
But I think what we see to be the reality is friendship is I know you, know, not I know about you. So like there's a lot of stuff that's going on in people's lives that you would not know without actually knowing the person well, like actually getting like quality time with them. Not saying it has to always be face-to-face like time, but like I think like actual like, or face-to-face, but it could even, however that be, a phone call, whatever the case may be, time together to actually know about them.
Yeah.
And so I think now we have substance friendship for like this faint, like cheap version, which is now like social media to a certain degree as the premise or the root or like the base of friendships, which leaves you at the end of the day feeling lonely and empty.
Yeah. Cause you're not, I mean, social media and technology, I think is definitely something that needs to be talked about with this. Because it's something that's been introduced that is a different variable than, the baby boomers or the Generation X after them that they had. They didn't have this technology that was giving this false sense of connectedness and leaving people, as a result, feeling lonely.
Which, I mean, that's the reality. I think social media in itself isn't necessarily bad, but it can't be the root or it can't be the meat or the bulk of like how you're doing relationships and friendships. Because in reality, you might have like thousands of social media followers, but how can you actually keep up thousands of intentional friendships?
That's true.
Which is not like, it's unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? Now, it can be something cool to maybe see distant family or friend and just know like, oh, they're doing well, they're doing fine. I think that's really cool. But I mean, even look at the prior generations, like they didn't have social media. So what did it take to catch up or find out how people are doing? Like actual phone calls or actually meeting up or actually going to go visit people. Like going to like your vacation would be to go visit family to catch up.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because of social media maybe, or because we have like this online version of like catching up with people's lives, people don't spend as much time to go see family, friends. They just go on vacation elsewhere,
And even another thing that I think that brings up, just thinking about like, going and visiting family and friends, back in the day, more so than now, I think that people didn't live as far from their hometowns and from their, familial units as we do now. Like the world is a lot smaller in the sense of like people move way far away from where they grew up typically. Whereas like 50, 60 years ago, I was born in Antigua, grew up in Florida. I would have probably either stayed in Antigua or stayed in Florida. I wouldn't be way out across the country.
Dispersed.
Yeah. So I think that might be adding to it, where you're just not as close in proximity to folks who you've known for a long time. And so if you're not as close in proximity to them, you're probably not having as deep, good and deep relationships with those folks. I agree.
And I also think, man, another avenue of what might play into this, and this is just honestly a personal opinion, I think a lot of what friendships for maybe millennials now are rooted in can be really fleeting, or like really like not substantial or like deep. Like it doesn't hold any weight, right?
Elaborate on that.
So if our friendship is based around, hey, we are only good friends when we go out and drink, like that's the only time that like,
we connect,
we connect, and like this spurs along, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a small, not saying that's a bad thing as a whole, right? But like if that's the only time where I feel like you're my friend, or our friendship is like alive, then in times when I'm having, hard times or like hard things, I'm not gonna feel like, oh, I'm coming to this person because our only connection is when it's surrounded around this thing.
Yeah, I mean, and you might not be drinking all the time, so it could be like where, I have a different budget now, so I'm not gonna be spending as much money going out to for a drink. So then your friendship dies. Yeah,
exactly. That's what it is. Like, oh, you're no longer, or like the reality is like, even for we might have friends. Me and Chris are pretty consistent where we'll play basketball Saturday mornings at a local gym here, and you have friends that, or I would say acquaintances, people there, that, when we're playing basketball, that's my guy. Like, what I'm saying? It's cool.
We're cool with him.
But once basketball's taken out the subject, I don't see that guy. It's not.
That's true.
I'm not like, he doesn't know the depths or like the inner workings of my life or whatnot. So I wouldn't necessarily consider him a friend. Maybe a substantial, or like a certain situation. Like
not a close friend. Might be a friend, but like not a close friend. Because like, I mean, to that point, think about like our flag football season. Shout out to the flag football team.
We out here.
But after the season, we're not going to see all those people on a weekly basis.
Straight up, yeah.
So it's going to be tough to maintain the same level of friendship because the common denominator of flag football is now taken out.
So that's the thing. It's like the common denominator. It's like when that's pulled away, like, do you still have a friendship? You know? And I even think of sometimes another hindrance of millennials making friends is because you had all these great relationships, when you were in college or in high school, due to just proximity and time. Now that time is no longer on your side with like in proximity, or like now that time is no longer on the side, you're either doing one of two things. One, you're holding on to what all your friendships look like in the past, to where you're like, oh, if it's not that, then I don't want it.
You don't want it, yeah.
Like where, oh, I saw this person in college 3 times a day, and so if I can't see the person 3 times a day, obviously we can't be friends.
Sure.
Or 2, you are just like not willing to fight for it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not willing to look at your present situation and fight for like intentional, real friendships in your like present situation, whatever that looks like. You know? And because once you start, like they say, millennials, once you start working, I mean, you are spending a majority of your day at work. Yeah. So by the time you get home, you can be tired. You are tired.
You can't, and you also have just normal things to take care of when you get home. Like you gotta eat. You might have to go to the gym. You might have to run to the grocery store. You gotta do laundry. It's like there's other things that start to take the place of where, in the past where you didn't have as many responsibilities, that you don't have as much time to just, kick it with people. Yeah. I think.
Go ahead.
I was thinking like another thing, in you brought up comparison, and I was going to think about it in a different way, like how social media has brought in this aspect of comparing experiences, and I think that also gives way to people feeling a little bit more lonely, or like they don't have as many friends. Yeah. Because what I wonder is, did people 50, 60, 70 years ago actually have more friends, or were they just not worried about like comparing themselves to everybody else? Because they could have still had only like 2 to 4 close friends, but sometimes social media and like the fear of missing out on stuff, along with loneliness, can like decrease the feeling of connectedness if you're not having all these different experiences and posting about them, etc. Yeah. So Yeah, I wonder if that was a thing as well.
Yeah, that's good. I think I think we've all been there to a certain degree where you're on social media seeing this group of people looking like they're having this amount of time or fun, or this group of people hanging out.
Yeah.
And so you're like, well, either two emotions come up. It's like me and my friends aren't like having actual like fun, or it's not fun, or say your group of friends goes and hangs out and they don't invite you, and you see it and it looks like they're having so much fun, that makes you bitter and be like, they're not actually my friends.
Yeah,
so
I don't have any friends. Oh my gosh.
I don't have any friends. Like everyone's having fun, but I'm not having fun, which might not necessarily be the reality. Like people are just posting like their best stuff, like
yeah, social media is not real life.
Yeah, it really. I mean,
I don't post every aspect of my life on social media.
I post very few aspects of my life on social media, if I'm being very completely honest.
I have a rule in my head where I only post things I like, places I like, or people in my life. So
that's it.
Like,
if you don't fall into that,
if it doesn't fall into that, it doesn't get posted.
That's true, man.
Yeah,
and I think I think that's also a really healthy boundary to have too.
But it's not the entirety of my life. And so if people look at my social media and think, "Oh, this is Chris Henry's life," you will be very much so misled.
So I think that goes into another portion that's really good. Is like a lot of people don't feel like they have close friends, and especially as adults, millennials. Now that once you're done with college, you are stuck with 40 plus hours a week of a job. That's just like the consistent fixed time you're going to be working a week besides PTO, and so when you're working, like your time becomes so much shrunk. So obviously you might not have the bandwidth to have maybe as many deep relationships as you want, but you can still have solid friendships.
Yeah.
And how do you go about that? I think I said it earlier, is like, man, you really have to fight for them. So I would consider Chris here one of my very good friends, one of my best friends in this present stage of life, honestly.
Aww.
Yeah, bro. Chris was in my wedding. It's been a huge part of my life, but it didn't come by convenience.
No.
Our friendship did not come by convenience at all.
No. We don't work at the same place.
We don't live at this. We do live closer to each other now.
Nah.
But we lived across the city from each other.
Yep.
But we both valued the aspect that we brought to each other's lives as friends. And so me and Chris consistently, every single Friday morning, get coffee.
Friday morning.
Every single Friday morning, unless someone's out of town or something like that. It's before work, early. And this is one of my most intentional friendships. And it has been super beneficial because Chris knows me. He knows the inner workings of my life. He knows me really, really well. And so in that place, I feel known not only by someone, you know what I'm saying? I'm feel like, man, I have a true friend in Chris because he knows the good, the bad, the ugly, and is still consistent to coming to getting coffee with me every Friday morning, you know? So I would ask you, do you have something like that in your life, you know?
Yeah. For all listeners, do you have something where it'll be a little bit more unwavering than the flag football season where you can be connected to people despite other changing factors in life? Because that's the thing. It's you have to be committed to the friendship in order to make it work. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, straight up.
These things just don't. You don't just happen to have a best friend. Yeah. Unless it's 5 years ago and you're just together all the time.
Yeah, we see each other all the time.
But yeah, you have to be committed to it. It's you have to, if you're trying to keep a relationship with someone that lives across the country, you got to be committed to reading a book together or seeing each other once a year or, I don't know, working on a project, something to keep the friendship going. Yeah,
I think that's really good. I mean, I think I'm very passionate about friendship just because I know how, my dad told me a quote that has stuck with me for my entire life. Now, I don't know where he got it from, but he always would tell me this when I was younger. And he would say, tell me who you move with, and I'll tell you who you are. You know? And I'm very passionate about that because I think when I was young, I started to realize the people I surrounded myself with are very, it's very, it's a mirror of the person that I am. Yeah. You know, so I know it'd always be funny. In high school, we'd be like, man, if the girl you're trying to date, all her friends are trash, she's probably trash too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She's trash too. Yeah. But it's also really encouraging when you know, people like comment on your friend circle, like, man, you care, like you have a lot of like good dudes around you.
Yeah.
Which is probably trying to say like you're a good dude too.
Yeah.
You know, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And so just say, yeah, so that tell me who you move with and I'll tell you who you are. So you as a person not only should surround yourself with people who have like common interest and like people who are going to like really like fight to be your friend too, not just you fight for their friendship, but they're your friend too. But also, man, surround yourself with people you like, I don't want to say admire, but people who like you want to like be surrounded with, like you want to be sharpened by, you want to, you know, do life with, you know, because in friendship, you know, there are mannerisms of Chris that I might pick up or mannerisms of mine that he might pick up.
Sure, 100%.
Still individuals, but like we're friends.
You'll even catch yourself just saying something like the other person and be like, oh, this is how it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing, you know, but like, man, the friendship is just like, it really is deep and like, it helps like, I think as millennials, like we really got to learn to convenience because everything in life is so convenient right now for us. Like,
sure.
Like even think about like we're in the day and age where you don't have to get your own groceries. Like you actually don't have to leave your house.
I remember a couple years ago, it was cold outside.
Yeah.
And so I just favored food for 3 meals that day.
3 meals.
Yeah.
You can have it.
I didn't leave
home.
the apartment.
So like we have like this, like just we're accessible to so many things, but there are certain things that take effort.
Yeah. I think friendship to make friends as an adult, it takes effort, intentionality, and commitment. And I think like, okay, so think about this, you know, places where you might make friends now as an adult might be like we talked about, like through some social activity or meetup, like football, basketball, hiking. I'd encourage you to think about your interests and what you want to actually build a friendship around. You can make friends through like a social club or volunteer work. Your church. I mean, dog, to be honest, the church is a plug for friendships because like you have something in common in the church. And then you can find people within that who also share common interests. So it's almost like 2 levels of stickiness for the friendship.
Come on.
And then you commit to intentionally being friends with each other and meeting up.
Come on.
Man, dog, that's the secret sauce.
A secret sauce.
The secret sauce, yeah. But I think intentionality, commitment. What was the other thing I said? Effort. Yeah.
Sure. Let's go with that.
So yeah, I mean, try to make a friend.
Yeah, make a friend, man. Like make a good friend. Fight for it. Really don't like. Let's stop having friendships around cheesy things. And let's just get real, man. So
I 100% like think it's okay. Just like how we talked about with dating. If you want to be friends with somebody, just say, hey, I would like to build a friendship with you.
Yeah, I'm going to fight for it.
Yeah, I'm going to fight for it. Let's like commit to something regularly, like meeting up once a month, 3 times a month.
Yeah.
I know, 8 times a month. Depends on what level of friendship y'all want. But I think it does take time and intentionality. And if y'all are on the same page, like, hey, we're going to be friends.
Expectations.
Like, then you already know. Yeah. Like, oh, what do we want our friendship to look like? You can talk about that too.
Man, like, I think that's the funny thing. It feels so weird almost to like with a friend to like be basically trying to set boundaries and like or like expectations or being clear like, hey, this is what I want from our friendship.
Yeah.
But honestly, that helps. Like
it helps so
like,
much.
It actually helps with clarity instead of being like, oh, they don't want to hang out with me. Like, because I'm like, no, I knew the expectation is like we can only really hang out once a week, like with what their time.
Because like, what happens if that friend moves away?
Yeah.
Then you have to explore. Okay, like I know this is going to change our friendship, but you already have the open communication about what y'all's friendship look. You can have that conversation. Hey, what do we want our friendship to look like now that we're 300 miles apart?
Yeah. Or your friend gets in a relationship or they get married. Like, what does that look like?
What is it going to look like now? You know, because we're not going to hang out 5 times a month.
Yeah.
So
just being clear with it. So yeah, man. Next, man, one of our favorite parts now is what we call our family discussions.
Family discussions with the Prophetic Foolishness fam.
What's family discussions, Chris?
Family discussions. This is where members of the PF fam, the Prophetic Foolishness fam, get their questions answered or discussed by us.
Yeah, man. And so it's a really great time for you guys to engage with us. I know a couple of you have been having questions and asking through a lot of our media platforms, and we love them. And so we want to take these and answer them. And so this was a question that was asked by one of our Instagram followers that wanted us and our perspective on it and wanted to hear what we had to say about it. So that's what we're going to give is our opinions and perspectives. So what is it, Chris?
So this is a hot one. Hot one.
Hot,
blazing.
Jumping off the grease.
Yeah. Shout out to Chance. But political party affiliations. Good, bad, and the ugly. And how should you affiliate yourself? What are the bases for political party affiliation?
You want to hear what I have to say first?
Man, mainly Republican and Democrat. That's what the viewers want. So,
come on. Well, man, I personally think that, I mean, we live in a day and age, obviously, but like political parties, affiliations have forced people into not actually like coming up with their own views, right?
That's true.
I feel like for a lot of people, they sometimes either ascribe to what their parents told them or kind of what their friends are doing. But instead of actually like coming up with your own set of like, hey, this is how I feel about this, and this, and like forcing people to educate themselves on actually what's going on.
Yeah.
So it allows you sometimes like to ignorantly live in this bliss and being like, okay, I ascribe to this party. And so obviously everything they say, I agree. Or like, I just associate myself with them. So I'm going to do that way, which like is, I feel like a lot of times ignorant and naive because you're not actually educating yourself on what's happening.
And speaking like the naivety or like the just not thinking through everything, I think that so often in our society with like republicanism and then the Democratic Party is that we see people associating with one or the other over one issue. So like I'm gonna just throw this out there. Like some people feel like if you're a Christian, you have to be a Republican.
Yeah.
Because of the issue of like abortion, or like pro-life or pro-choice, you know, or other people is like, you know, if you want to stand for like equality or feminism or LGBT rights or like social, like helping the poor, that you have to be a Democrat, you know? And so it's like these singular, very polarizing subjects are like defining people's entire political landscape.
Yeah. And I think it's crazy to think that, I mean, we are a people that have so many different backgrounds, so many different experiences coming from so many different, like, just like places of life that we as people can be put into, or like as Americans as a whole, can be put into two straight lines.
Yeah, man.
Which blows my mind.
I personally hate being put into a box.
Bro, me too. Like I think one of my biggest insecurities is being misunderstood. Right? So someone boxing me up and being misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people might be like, oh, Sagi, he's all hype. You know, he's all hype. But it's like, man, like that's not how I am. You know what I'm saying? So don't box me. But I think when it comes to political parties, man, it's really easy. And sometimes I think, especially, I think it's almost a privilege for a lot of people to ignorantly kind of just like blindly, you know, go towards one like party or one like school of thought, if that makes sense.
And I feel like people don't even understand like the history of the parties in a lot of ways. That like, hey, like the Republican Party that started back in the late 1800s was actually started to stop the expansion of slavery. Like that was its main mission, and the opposing party years later was like the Dixiecrats. And so whereas we see throughout history this real shift in the two parties to where like after a while, like the Democratic Party, you know, after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, there was a big shift between the party's core demographics from Republicanism to the Democrat Party, because like the Republicans were no longer the party of like civil rights and the same party that defended the abolition of slavery, etc. Now that was like with the Democrats. And furthermore, that even shifted, the demographics shifted even more like after Roe v. Wade in 73. The Republican Party opposed that, and the Democratic Party was for it. And so then you see like more polarizing more polarizingness with like now evangelicals making their decision to be Republicans based on like the 73 Roe v. Wade Act, plus on top of the civil rights, because like we know evangelicals for the most part like is a pretty segregated.
For those of you who don't understand, evangelicals just means like Christians.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for all that lingo.
Yeah, no.
But I think that like even understanding the history of, hey, these parties have like shifted over time, and the demographics of each party have shifted over time to where like now the Republican Party nowadays is like MAGA and a lot more of the not tolerant language. Used to be like the Democratic Party, and vice versa, where like it's changed.
Yeah.
It's changed.
I think that's what more than ever we are in a time where, man, it really requires us to, really educate ourselves on like what's going on in society. What are the hot topics and how do we personally feel about these, and like not essentially just going with what our quote unquote party says.
Yeah.
Like that's where my decision comes on, like where the Republican Party stands or how I feel about this, how the Democrats feel about this, just because, we love to group think a lot of times, but really encouraging you guys now more than ever to, I guess for me, I really hate associating myself with a certain party. That's just personally like, I more or less am like, man, like I'm going to vote to like what I believe in, and like in certain situations, and like how someone feels about, or like what candidate feels a certain way. So who knows? I could vote for a Republican, I could vote for a Democrat, I could vote for an independent. Like,
and me even more so nowadays than in the past, because I used to work for the GOP back in the day.
Wow.
I worked for Republican senators on campaigns and all that kind of stuff for the College Republican National Committee.
Dang.
Like, I know.
That's not common for black people.
It's not common.
Come on, bro.
I will say it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
But I hate being defined by that experience. Like I don't. That doesn't mean that I agree with what's going on in the GOP today, and that doesn't even mean that I disagree completely. I'm more so like some weird balance between the both.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be. I don't want to say like I'm this or that.
Come on.
Because there's sides of both that I think are important, that are important, and there's sides of both that I really don't like. And so if you were to ask me what I am nowadays, I'm just like, I'm not really none of them.
Yeah, I ain't with none of them.
I ain't working.
That's just how I am.
That's how it is. It's like, hey, there's more. Just because like I might have some kind of religious faith does not mean I'm a Republican, or just because I want to make sure there's means to help the poor and that I support like immigration or something like that doesn't mean that I'm 100% a Democrat either. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like these one issue defining broad strokes. Yeah.
I agree, man. So I would say, man, like you guys don't necessarily box yourself in and be so quick to associate yourself with a party, more or less, thinking more or less on like where your convictions lie with certain topics and having those conversations and actually educating yourself on what's going on.
Yeah.
All right,
that's it, man.
That was a lot, man.
Yeah, give us y'all's feedback.
Give us y'all's feedback. If you hate us and now we did what they told us not to do, talk about politics. If you hate us because we did it, hey man, it is what it is. But we're gonna have the conversation that people are, we're gonna challenge the norm, man. We want people to be challenged on their way of thinking and thinking about their own opinions and maybe hearing our opinions, and hopefully, it brings up discussions amongst your friends. Hopefully this caused you to think a little bit more. But man, that's what we're gonna keep doing, man. Hopefully you keep rocking with us, man, adding to the Prophetic Foolishness fam. We're really out here, man. So follow us. Make sure to subscribe on all platforms. If you're listening to this, post on your Insta story, post on your Instagram, show us some love. We'll make sure to like, share, what you're doing. So we love you guys. We really do. Keep rocking with us, all right?
All right.
Well, as we end it, my name is Osagi.
And my name is Chris. And this is Prophetic Foolishness.
Peace.
Peace.